Hello, everybody. We should hopefully be streaming now. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, the reason that we're doing this is because I'm with Heisenberg White, by the way. Hello, sir.
Hello.
The reason we're streaming was just going to make a video about the chatlog, the Dustin chatlog, because I'm up to like part 10. Did I put part 9 in the description?
No, I saw part 10.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, so I was trying to make, we were both trying to make a video. We did it twice and my computers crashed both times. So if that happens again, guys, I apologize.
Whoa.
What?
The computer crashed once. The first time you forgot to hit record.
Why feel the need to let everybody know that?
Because they should. I don't want to lie to the people. That's not.
It was a white lie, and you couldn't even let me have that. You've also barred me from what was it? I'm only allowed to mention Star Wars twice, of which that's one
twice.
time.
I'll give you that one for free. But
you let me have that one for free. And what was the other condition?
You get 1 or 2 Simpson quotes just because I like them too, and I'm probably gonna have a few myself. But that's it. All right.
Okay. Right. That's good. Right. Okay. Well, we don't. I don't think we'll get any Star Wars references here, but I think some Simpsons one will probably come out.
What video have you ever made related to TCAP has ever warranted a Star Wars reference? Yet they all seem to find you seem to find some sort of parallel between them. But hey, that's not what we're here to talk about now, right?
Hey, you brought that up then. Well, actually, no, you didn't. You was following on from what I was saying, but
right.
We were talking before my computer did whatever, and even when I forgot to record, about why Dustin was a memorable predator. I didn't like the word popular because it just sounds weird. It sounds perverse, ironically. Mm-hmm. And my computer's really struggling at the moment, so I'm fucking sorry if it goes. But yeah, so what we were saying, it's a combination of things, just like Lorne, isn't it? The sort of bizarre kind of down and out attitude and the kind of the accent and the wrestling thing, and
Well, as you and I had talked before we went live here, you had raised the question whether or not he was going to be a memorable predator, regardless of his disability, whether that was the tipping point that made him sort of memorable. And I would argue against that. I would say that if regardless of whether or not he had his disability, if he was still the same Dustin mentally and still talked the same and still typed the same things and still brought the razor and I don't like lawyers, regardless of whether or not he was disabled or not, I think he still would have been a memorable character for sure. But it was only sort of groundbreaking at the time because a lot of people who were being introduced to this sort of seedy underbelly of the internet for the first time and were shocked to see somebody with a disability be capable of doing something like this. And now, several years later, we know there is no specific type of person you can expect to show up at your house to solicit sex from a underage boy or girl.
Do you know what? You make a really good point there about the fact that, you've just kind of struck a nerve with me, not necessarily a nerve, but struck a chord, in that when you watch it for the first time, you are kind of surprised that someone in that position, or someone with his condition, puts himself in that position. I'm kind of
But the more you think about it, it's like that's no excuse. That doesn't make any sense. To me, what's more shocking is when a teacher shows up on the show, or somebody you wouldn't expect because they'd be given a position of trust in the community and with children. That's what's shocking to me, and that's still what's shocking, to be honest. But now, several years after the fact, we're good, right?
Yeah, he's still there.
All right, good. Yep. There, like I said, there is no type. It's just dudes on the internet that are horny, whether they're tall, short, black, white, gay, straight, disabled or able, or English speaking or non-English speaking. Literally, what can you expect? Expect the unexpected, I guess.
Yeah, we were talking about the documentary that I uploaded recently. It's got quite a lot of views, and I think some people in the chat have seen it. I'd just like to say a quick hello to everybody. Hi, Kennedy. Hi Matthew, Golden V.
Hi conscious type person.
Yes, it's just you're getting more love in the chat than I am.
I know, yeah. Typical.
Yeah, but we were the documentary I uploaded. There was a section in it where it was trying to decipher what made people attracted to children, and there was quite a lot of study done that it's a neurological condition that you're born with. So I used to theorize that the reason Dustin was one of the reasons why Dustin was attracted to children is because of his immaturity, like he'd not grown up, so he was still kind of very much adolescent in his psyche. But I don't really think, having watched that documentary and listened to the study, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I just think he's one of those people.
That's such an interesting theory because, genetically there are some people that are more prone to like alcoholism. So that sort of impulse and lack of self-control makes me think there could be some parallels to this. But I guess it's like with gambling too. You can have a gambling addiction. I don't know if that's really genetic, but it's sort of that thrill, that like unquenchable thirst.
But your sexual orientation is genetic, isn't it? Because it's embedded into you as a male or female. Even if there's theories. I believe that some people say as well that it's scientifically that your sexual orientation, for instance, if you're gay or straight, that is genetic as well.
I might agree to disagree here and just say that it's a combination of both genetics and nature versus nurture and your upbringing as well. Because, I mean, obviously, if you were raised in a civilization of only men, and you only ever knew that men existed, like you would just be attracted to whoever you thought was attractive. You wouldn't, but as a human being who's open to the entire world that has, people of different races, ethnicities, ages, young, old, male, female, and everything in between, it's and especially in the internet age too, where you have access to pretty much every single type of pornography that exists, as well as access to, a super highway to people that may be in the minority with yourself and think and act the same way, where it sort of reinforces your weird obsessions, which 100 years ago you would have been stoned for thinking anything other than man for woman.
But attraction to children, obviously I can't vouch for this because as I understand it, I've only been alive for a few years, but it goes back...
As you understand it.
As I understand it. Because I believe in reincarnation, but that's a matter for another time. This sort of attraction to children and child sexual abuse goes back potentially to thousands of years. Records before the Bible. So
think about age expectancy too. I mean, people were marrying at 14, 15 years old, but they were only living to 30 or 40. So, like, I get, social norms and plus the population of the earth was so much drastically lower then than
of course.
It is now.
I suppose the point I'm trying to make is that if it's a genetic thing, this attraction to children, that it's part of the genetic makeup of some humans. Like it sounds a bit wrong to say it was meant to be that way, but what I mean is, if it's genetic, there's some logical reason that it's in our DNA in some people. I don't know why, because there doesn't seem to be any logical reason in children. Yeah. Well, there isn't any logical reason in children getting abused, but it's there. It's part of nature. Fucking hell, I hope these words don't get twisted, but you get where I'm coming from. It may even be
such a genetically encoded piece of yourself that you can't control it. However, if somebody who's genetically prone to alcoholism gets in a car drunk and kills a family, they can't just say, well, it's in my genes. They should, as adults, know better. And that's the same thing I'll say for this too.
Yeah, that's why this documentary I uploaded is so interesting, because at one point they speak to somebody who says he is a paedophile, and he says, I have this attraction to children, but I don't want to do anything to a children because I don't want to hurt him and I need help. And he comes out and says, this is what I've become. I don't like who I am. I need to do something about it. And it's so interesting because it puts it from another perspective. So in other words, you have a choice. You know it's wrong because you're intelligent and you say, I shouldn't be feeling like this, and you don't act upon it. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting. But of course, you know, people like Dustin, who we're obviously here to talk about, don't seem to have any moral compass whatsoever. He doesn't seem to think that he doesn't care if he's doing anything. I mean, the part, there was a part, I don't know whether you watched part 9, I don't even like saying these words, but there's a bit where he mentions stretching part of anatomy at one point.
It's a difference between like attraction and just perversion, you know?
Yeah, good point. But,
yeah.
But you're right, I suppose, like, some people...
I can be attracted to a girl, even a specific girl, but it gets weirder when I'm like, I want you to take your feet and bathe them in raw eggs. Like that's not quite genetic, you know.
I'd like a
just,
single plum
floating in perfume
served in a man's hat. Here you go.
That's one Simpsons reference. All right.
Here you go.
I think we're going down a rabbit hole here. To quote a very special chatter right now who is quoting somebody else, we'll just say keep your jeans in your jeans, and let's get into this chat, boy.
You're right. I'd like to point something out that we can see on the page, is that I don't like the way that wrestling dude is talking. It says importing a Jap wife. Now, for a start, he's talking about the wrong nationality, because there he says, do you like Chinese? Then he says, thought about importing a Jap wife, which is two, people...
He's a weeb. Look at... Ooh. He's into that weeb shit. He's an anime boy. He's got DVDs of Dragon Ball Z, every edition, in his house. He's got that sort of schoolgirl fetish. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, he's not very sophisticated, is he? Not very cultured. I don't know. I mean,
why even bring it up? It's not that funny.
No,
LOL, joking. You know why he's bringing it? Because that's his fantasy. That's what he wants.
Yeah, and before my computer or I forgot to record, we were talking about how comical it is that he was so insistent on getting a social security number, and his is like, isn't his like something silly like 0001 or something? It's like Mr. Burns's, isn't it?
What I don't understand is why didn't the decoy just give him a number, just a fake number? Does he have the capability to like backtrace it to see if they're real?
Because if he didn't, you see, you must forgive my ignorance. I don't really understand what a social security number is. We have national insurance numbers,
but you can't just type a random number into the internet and be like, oh, this number is this person's identity.
Yeah, you don't think that would work, would you? But then if that's not the case, why would he even need it in the first place? His argument was in the interview that if he lost contact with whoever this was, that he could then trace them. So
I wonder if he's had like a past. I wonder if he's given up his social security number to somebody in the past who said that reason he was just getting fucking scammed, and they tried to pocket all of his money and he had none, so he never realized it. Huh. That being said, Andy, I know if we ever get disconnected during this live stream, do you mind giving me all your passwords and PIN numbers just in case? Just in case I need to find you?
Could I have to say no to that?
If
that's okay. I don't want you finding out what's on my... Oh, shit, but best not go further. Okay, baby boy, is she grumpy? Did you, very quickly, have you managed to check out the Dupay chat logs at all? Or any of the Hanson versus Predator chat logs?
Yes, I actually did a reading of one back in the day, Charles Lawrence's. Dupay's interesting. He's exactly what you'd think he was. You know, he's very flirty. He's such a young spirit for such an old, weird man.
We'll do one of those together soon. I just thought I'd briefly sort of touch upon, I don't want to go into it in too much detail because we're talking about Dustin, but how sophisticated the decoys get and how more inventive they are. I thought it was really interesting because they've had to evolve, haven't they?
With the technology and the times, yeah.
Yes, it's really interesting, and that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of enjoying going through it at the minute. But we'll do one of the Dupay. I mean, I've got loads of stuff to go through that'll keep me in videos for years. So,
Conscious typed something in the chat, and and it's given me a theory. He says that he was going to try to steal her identity and open a credit card in her name with the Social Security number, which he could do even if she was a kid. I'm wondering if that's not only a possibility, but what if he's willing to hold that information hostage when she turns 18, or if she ever threatens to tell an authority figure about it, and he could say, I have all your information, I can ruin your life, don't go to the police, keep talking to me, be with me. And he was going to have that as some sort of long form backup plan just in case things ever went wrong.
I don't think, and this may be me being incredibly naive, that he doesn't have that kind of sinister sophistication. I don't think.
Look who we're talking about here. The man that had several week chat with grooming an underage girl.
But that's different to, because the guy got caught. He's not very bright, is he? The guy got caught, right, by Perverted Justice, and he'd already been caught by the police.
Yes.
We're not dealing with a rocket scientist. Just because you can build a computer doesn't mean you have a brain. Because I built this computer that keeps breaking. Well, that's suffice to say, that's why it's breaking.
But not only is this guy hiding in plain sight, he's a cripple, man. People look down upon him like he's retarded, and he's basically got this get out of jail free card.
Oh yeah,
that situation with the first girl that he was telling the story about, John, that he could have seriously been harmed physically or legally, but it's entirely possible that somebody learned about his condition and his disability and looked and gave sympathy to him, so he thought he could get away with stuff like that.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's one of the, even like when the cops are interviewing him, they don't quite understand what he wanted with that, because I don't believe anybody else has asked any of the decoys for that, have they?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So it is
and he's insistent too.
There's a lot of firsts in the Dustin chat log. Nobody's asked for underwear in the post. Nobody's asked for Social Security.
He's
photos.
A greedy bastard.
He is, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, he is pretty big. I mean, it's not suffice to say. She's yelling at me to get off the computer. You there tomorrow? Blah 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 blah. Love you too. I had to pee. Night. Right, okay. So we're on the next.
Isn't that amazing? Again, we touched upon this before we started recording, but look at the timestamps. A few seconds pass and they can just chat to each other with ease. This is 2007, man. I don't even was Windows Vista even around yet? It's incredible what Perverted Justice was able to do with the primitive technology at the time.
Yeah, we mentioned that, didn't we? Because if you think, I've gone over the Lorn chat log maybe more than a lot of people.
At least once or twice.
Yeah, and I always try on occasion to put myself in the mindset of the decoy and try and think, were they speaking to several people at the same time? Is that why there's no character with Kayla? Because it was very difficult for her to do it, because Kayla had zero character, no personality, not even any backstory, but she did come up with friends and remember who the friends were and wound him up with Derek. So you're right. It's like, if you think about what they went through, do you think as well a lot of the decoys were people who'd suffered abuse in the past, and this is kind of a way of them trying to help the situation?
Perverted Justice?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say so. And once again, Conscious Type, right on the money. This was they had several stings under their belt by this point. They knew what they were doing. And I don't know if you know this, but they were getting paid $100,000 an episode. So they definitely had the best technology.
Wow, that must mean that everything's corrupt and all the predators deserve to get off.
We're talking very unnecessary NASA-level computers here. They were probably spending a lot of their budget on drugs, and just they were probably guilty
of the Illuminati, as I understand it.
Pure evil, really, if you think about it. Yeah. What a shame.
I know. He's right, though, conscious type person, because I suppose if you think about it, they even mentioned it in one of those Predator Raw videos and said when they first started it was just frag, then they were able to employ more people, then they were able to get more technology. So he's right, at this point So really, when they're talking to Lorne, they're in full swing, aren't they? Just
That
like
being
here.
said, if you got $100,000 an episode, and they did almost 10
Consultancy fee.
Yeah, and they did almost. It's kind of embarrassing that they're still like just barely operating. Where did that money go? Did they not invest it? Did they go out of style? You know? What the hell?
Yeah. It'd be interesting. I mean, you've got all that money flying around. I think they deserve a few expensive pizzas and a couple of nights out with that money. What do you reckon?
What do you mean they don't deserve the extras? They could just ask the Predator to bring all that shit.
That's true.
Get it for free.
I'm not going to bring you a pizza. Well, maybe not. They were waiting to get fed, and then Lord didn't even turn up with anything.
Tonight, our investigation in Beverly Hills. Predators bring Fabergé eggs and expensive automobiles to the house.
Brilliant. Ferrero Rocher is also in tow. Was gone 3 hours, so that's 60 cool. How was your day? That's nice. That's a nice concerning question, isn't it? A very sweet, romantic. How was your day, dear?
Prefaced with a
kiss. Are you having it?
Oh, yeah.
K. What? K. Oh, right, okay. Yours, stressful. Stressful? Well, I mean, yeah. Ain't your fault. Nope. I love you.
It's all your fault.
You make me so happy. Oh, do you think he really was happy apart from the perverted side of it?
That he had somebody to talk to? Yes, but I think he'd rather be talking about his favorite wrestling and animes and video games. He has nothing in common with this girl.
No. And why would you? Why would you?
She's like less than half your age, Dustin.
Yeah. I wonder if
today
she's less than half his weight.
I'm surprised today, especially in the Hansen versus Predator chat logs, there wasn't more of like Netflix and chill. What do you like to watch on Netflix? Oh, there's this really great show you need to check out on Netflix. And they just exchange television show recommendations back and forth. And it's like, did you watch it? That show is the best. Have you seen Rick and Morty? That show is like the best show on TV. Maybe
that does happen in some of the chats. Maybe.
What else are you going to talk about? I mean, when you're flirting on, as adults do on dating apps, that's a common question I ask. What do you like? What do you like to watch on TV or on Netflix? And that's a good way to see if you're compatible. It'd be a little scary if he says, "What do you like to watch on TV?" And she goes, "Oh, Dora the Explorer, My Little Pony." Well, Dustin might be a fan of My Little Pony. I'll take that back, but. Again, that would have just been sort of eye-opening. Oh, I like SpongeBob. Oh. Not there's anything wrong with liking SpongeBob.
No, not at all. I'm seeing 3. Right, okay. That makes sense. Right, okay, so I'm back. Cool. You will have to take... Here we are again. He doesn't let this drop, does he?
He's resilient.
He is. I mean, that's one. Is that one positive attribute we can say about him? Because I can't.
He's
think
persistent.
Of
that's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's.
Put that on a resume.
Yeah. You will have to take the panties out of the bag and put. Hang on a minute. That just comes out completely out of the blue. Like he doesn't. Oh right, okay. First, he asks here, "Did you get stamps?" So that's completely out of the blue. Oh,
first off, imagine having a 13-year-old daughter, and one day she comes up to you and says, "Mom, can I have some stamps?" For what, honey? It's a secret.
Oh my god, I could just picture like the voice that you did it then. It's like a scene from Rick and Morty, like a cartoon style. Yeah. I'd sooner not tell you, Mom. Well, if you must know, I need to send my underwear to an overweight pervert who's in his 20s. What?
It's okay. I can trust him. He gave me his social security number, and I gave him mine.
He's a really sweet guy, Mom. He wants to be my first.
He's gonna wear him as wrestling tights.
He's gonna stretch my butthole.
Oh Lordy.
Oh dear. Yeah, but if you look at it here,
he's so specific. It's almost scientific. You know, it's like, oh well, that's not gonna do. You know, you're gonna have to take them
really like.
out.
You're right.
Two days. Two days is barely cutting it. I'm aiming for 3 days. You know.
He's really like. This part is really like important to him, isn't it? Because, like you said, he's put a lot of thought into it, hasn't it? And
Can I just wrap it in Saran wrap? No, no plastic wrap, no aluminum foil, Ziploc bag, name brand, Ziploc. I wanted you to send it priority mail overnight shipping. Wow. I want it to be delivered by a drone to my house.
Yeah. Suck all the air out of the bag before you.
Yep. Yeah, I want it airlocked tight.
Because they wouldn't have your smell no more, and your mom may find it okay. I will. How would you explain that to her? Don't know. You gotta say.
That's your job, Dustin.
Yeah. You gotta stay out of trouble and get good grades so she don't take you away from the net. Yeah, and then where would your life be?
The fucker.
I sound too much like her. Oh, right. He says he's being like a parental figure. She's been so grumpy. I'm sorry, baby. We all get grumpy. We all get rumpy sometimes. Well, he's definitely rumpy, isn't he? The best meat's in the rump.
That's your second one. That's it.
Yeah, but you know which bit I'm on about, don't you? Hey, yes. Homer, I got a surprise just for you. The best meat's in the rump. Oh, oatmeal. What a delightful treat. Oh, there's a bug in it.
Dad, there's a bug on that. Whatever.
Yeah, I've had a good run. Oh, mercy. Anyway.
Oh, mercy.
Scared
That's way too much. I can't even. I've lost track.
Yeah, we're just going off on one, aren't we?
Is this right, are we still on the same? No, we're on a different day now because he said, "Hey, how was your day?" Yeah, all right. So we're chugging along.
No, it's the same. No, it's the same day.
Not the one that we started at.
10.
Yeah, it had to be
16,
15.
10.
We're on to 16 now. Yep. Oh, maybe. Yeah. 16. Oh, we're getting mid-October now. It's almost Lauren's birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's because her anniversary is Saturn. She thinks, yeah, awesome. Will you call? Right, I'm just skipping through. Why? He's gonna take her to Nashville. Who's gonna have you? No one. Oh, is this where they're setting up the?
The bait has been laid.
Yeah, we're getting into exciting territory here, aren't we? So, because her anniversary is sat, and she thinks Harry's not doing nothing for it, is he?
Come on, Harry.
He's gonna take her to Nashville. Who's gonna have you? No one. You statting alone? Yeah. Awesome. Will you call me then? Yeah. Good. I love talking to you. Oh, so they're just setting up the phone call rather than the meeting? Because I thought at this point...
Saturday. Wait, Saturday. Is Saturday the bus day? Because I thought that's her saying, oh, they're going to be out of town.
That's what I was thinking. I think, unless I'm getting it wrong, she was trying to set up the meeting, thinking he would jump at the chance and go, yeah, I'll come see you. But all he goes on about is phone call. He says, awesome, we'll call you then.
Well, we're still going here. And now he's getting into it, you know.
Good. Love talking to you. Love talking to you too. Will you get a bad girl for me then? What?
You gonna be a bad girl for me then?
Get a bad girl.
Oh yeah.
If you want me to, yeah. I think you may like it. Don't know. It's not reals. One day soon it will be for real. K. What are they going on? I've lost.
He's saying are you gonna have a sexy talk with me? And she's like, if you want, I guess. I don't really know how to do that. And he's saying, oh, well, don't worry. One day in the future, you will be able to do the real
Right.
thing. Yeah.
Okay. You're able to step into the mindset of Dustin disturbingly well.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just being honest. Me too, cool. You there? Just eating dinner too. Ooh, what you eating? Mom ordered Chinese.
Oh, that instant boner.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I hot mangolin beef.
Oh my God.
You there? Yeah, I got something to drink. What you get? Oh, come on. It's getting boring.
He likes his Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew and Doritos, boy. Breakfast of champions.
Why don't she let you have it? She doesn't think it's good for me. Ain't it? It ain't nothing is good for you. What you mean? All the preservatives and crap we have in food. Oh, nutritional advice from Dustin now, which is quite ironic looking at his particular... I don't want to be like offensive to anybody, but I would argue that he doesn't look after himself that well.
Dustin is a piece of hot Mongolian beef.
He's got everything a woman would want, that lad. You're awesome, got booty. So are you, I noticed. Have you been out lately? That's a bit of a strange question. What you mean? To Walmart or the mall? Nope. Okay, cool.
Why did he ask that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange. Is it like wondering if
he's gonna get? I'll tell you why. So you all right?
No, go on, mate.
It's because he's gonna get very upset if she was out and didn't grab stamps.
Good. Yeah, you're right. Do you think he's maybe trying to trip her up?
It's like he's trying to make her feel bad. That's such a grooming tactic too. Like, oh, I guess you don't really like. I guess you're not taking this seriously. Yeah.
Are you watching your sis Saturday? Nope, she's going to Nana. So you would assume here, again, that she's trying to do... Yeah.
Click,
yeah,
click,
cool.
click.
So they are letting you stay at home alone. Yeah. What time are they leaving? In the morning. You mean Saturday morning? Yeah. When will they be back? Not till Saturday night. Fuck. Oh, well. That's pissed on that bonfire.
No, but she's laid the bait here. And now he's said overtly that he would have driven up, and now they can lay the solid groundwork for when the actual sting is going to happen.
It was nighttime when he arrived, though, wasn't it?
I don't think this is the day. I think that might have been a sort of a test to see if whether or not he would have driven up. And
yes, very wise. What time you get work done? 4 p.m. But I don't know. Take 4 hours to get. Oh yeah, because he had that like really long journey, didn't it? So he's traveling from where did Dustin live? Where does Dustin live?
Well, it's in his name, isn't it?
Oh yeah, right. Okay, so how far is that to Bowling Green?
Kentucky. Well, he's got to cross state lines. That's a felony.
So, because our inferior brains in the UK, especially me, we get so confused with how big the US is and all the states.
Well, isn't that interesting, right? That he already has mapped out how long it would take to get there.
I'm not surprised though. I mean, if you think about it, if you're that invested where you want underwear in the mail. I mean, I've been talking to girls on dating websites, and within the first day, I'm working out how long it'll take me to go and see them.
How long it'll take the postage, to send
well, that's the first
underwear in the mail.
That sucks. It'd be so cool. I mean, I don't suppose it matters to these guys. Literally 4 hours is nothing, is it? If they think they're going to get
certainly not the longest journey in the show.
Yeah. Lily's saying it was 5 hours. Whether that's what he said, he did. I think it was mentioned in his interview, because I remember saying it when I did the interview analysis that his fatigue would have played a part in his, because he's in a high stress situation during that interview, and he obviously completely
He hangs in there though during
You're right.
Chris's interrogation and with John.
Yeah.
Which I think when in the video of John, he says it's like 11 something at night. But what does he do during the day? He probably just napped all day before then. It's not like he had to get off his shift at work.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, maybe they will stay there or something, because I want you in my arms and I want to make love to you. Ugh. Yeah, I want to too. You there. I wish that it was legal for me to just come het you and marry you right now, because I would do it. Do you think there's any part of Dustin that actually has a genuine sort of affection like Lorne did? Because there's no doubt in my mind that Lorne...
That's a bold statement implying that Lorne had any sort of affection. I get where you're coming from.
No, in his world, not in normal world, but
Yes.
in Lorne world, he did have affection. But in regular, normal human being world, he didn't. I'd just like to clarify that. Do you get where I'm coming from?
There's a difference here.
There's a huge fucking difference. But in his world...
Once a day saying, hey, I wish I could marry you, I love you, and then saying it every 30 fucking seconds.
Yes, but what I mean is he said it that often, he convinced himself of it.
Yeah. Dustin here is just playing the long game.
Yeah, I think... But what I mean is, do you think that there's a part of him that's done the same, or do you think it's all just a tactic to get her?
I think in Dustin's case, it's a tactic.
Yeah.
I think if a perfectly legal age woman said, hey, I happen to find wrestling and video games very sexy, he would have just dropped everything. In Lorne's case, I think he was more excited by the fact that she was young, which, even though I do believe that, though, in Dustin's case, he had the child pornography and Lorne didn't, you know?
Yeah, well, this is the thing.
But that just might be Lorne's ineptitude to understand the internet. I'm sure if he could, he would have. But
I'm not sure. That's a chat for another time. I often get accused of sticking up for him a little bit too much, but I don't think he's one of them people that would do what Dustin's done. I don't think he's like that. I don't want to go into the ins and outs of his perversion.
Is it see, you might think that because you don't think he's capable of that. I think it's because he's not technically savvy enough to do it.
No, right. I mean, I understand for him to do and say what he did, there's obviously issues there. We know that. I just don't know if...
And even an even better discussion is which is worse, possessing child pornography or going through and molesting a child. They're both terrible, but one seems a little worse than the other.
There's that much difference, is there really? Because you have to have that level of deprivation and lack of empathy for another human being to do either of those things. I don't think there's that much difference, really. I suppose it's me trying to give the benefit of the doubt to people, even Lorne. I just...
That's so not the message of the show.
I know,
It
but...
really isn't. Benefit of the doubt, yeah. Go back, read the chat log, see the pictures and the videos they sent you. Will have no doubt.
I know. I sound a bit naive, don't I? But I
understand as a human, as a rationally speaking human who believes in the goodness of mankind, you would think that given the opportunity to do something good or evil, most people would do the good thing. And I agree. But, and this is a big but with a pimple on Lorne's butt, those that are willing to do the evil thing because they believe nobody is looking or they're never going to get caught will take it to the extreme, you know?
Yeah. No. I mean, every now and again I think that, like Lorne's just an opportunist who was down on his luck, but there's the part in the chat log that freaks me out the most is the experimentation part. And whenever I read that, my sort of anger levels go from about 5 to about 10, and it really disturbs me. So if I read that part, I'd probably agree with you. But I just think that, I suppose he isn't that computer savvy, and I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. It's not a nice thing to think of, is it? Really, but it does. It does. Do you remember Genteel from Hanson vs Predator?
Yes.
I believe he's even worse than Mcphetridge, if that's possible.
I'd say he's on par with, for sure. Yeah.
Maybe just because he's older.
Probably one of the worst in that series of investigations, for sure. Almost undoubtedly. Yeah.
Big time. I mean,
I'd say I don't know about when you say worse. That's open for interpretation. I'd say most dangerous, probably.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because what is worse?
He posed certainly an immediate sort of danger, where some of these guys you think might have just kind of the first time or two might have just been dipping their toe in the water for the first time. Genteel seemed a little too experienced, Yeah.
I mean, you're right, and I suppose what I would define as being worse is someone with less empathy for another person. So, for instance, when Dustin's there in the house and Casey's trying to, say things like, "Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that?" and he goes, "You don't have to do anything if you don't want to, sweetie." And I'm just wondering whether that's a good part in him. I know.
No, it's not.
I know, but hear me out. So what I'm trying to say is, let's just assume for a minute that that's real, right? And he means that.
All of a sudden he's having sort of second thoughts about what he very overtly said he's been wanting to do for the last several days.
Yeah,
all right?
Of course. Yeah. And then, but let's just say that is true. Then that would mean that Genteel would be worse, because he's got no regard for anybody, and that comes across in everything that he did. And but obviously
Genteel was married at the time too, which is just especially despicable.
And, does it make it worse that he's old enough to be these people's grandparents? I mean,
as any of these guys on the show will tell you, age is just a number.
Yeah, well, yeah. Me and Adam have discussed this quite a lot with regard to the younger predators, like the 20-year-olds and the 19-year-olds. Is it not as bad a crime for them if they're trying to hook up with a 15-year-old as it would be for someone who's 30 trying to get with a 13-year-old? Does it change the
I'd say by principle it does, but legally, no.
Oh, of course, legally, there's no argument. It's what's written down, but from a sort of, I don't know, it's a very complicated thing. There's no point going into it too much. I can't come up with any concrete answer that would, it's a complicated issue, but
beyond our pay grade.
Yeah. But I mean, we weren't going to go to a chat like this without coming up, without discussing quite disgusting topics and quite, because
this isn't your ordinary chat log. It belongs to a very unique individual. By many accounts, it hits the same beats that a lot of the other chat logs do, but it's got a lot of very interesting quirks to it. And then when you attach it to the real person who typed it, who isn't just some 40-year-old, horny old man, he's a relatively young, disabled wrestling fan. I don't think that makes a difference, but he's such a unique individual too that's why I think we're having this sort of discussion, because a lot of these guys we pretty much dismiss as horny old man, has no character, has no integrity, would have gone through with it. And guys like this that are just so unique and interesting, there's a lot of room for speculation and debate, which I guess you could say about any of them, but something about Dustin is so interesting, right?
Yeah, I compared him to a monster once when I did the interviews. I might have even been doing the chat log.
I don't think anybody would blame you.
But it's not I don't like saying that about any other human being. But if of course,
look at where I'm looking down right now. I'd love to fuck you in your bed.
Well, yeah. It's
maybe no one see me, making sure he's hiding. He knows it's wrong. He knows it's illegal. He said it several times, and he's like, I want to do it so bad. I don't care. They could throw me in jail for the rest of my life after the fact. If I get to do it just this once, it'll be worth it. That's his mind right now. But he thinks he can be careful enough to avoid that.
It's even back then, before the internet was as prevalent as what it is now. He's obviously navigating it quite well. He knows how to download child images and things like that. So he's going to know that what he's doing is so wrong on every level, from a legal standpoint, morally, against that person. It sort of goes against everything that a human being should try to be, which is try and be the best person you can be. You don't have to be president, you don't have to be a CEO, but try and be the best person that you can be. And for somebody to do that, it just baffles me completely. I just can't comprehend why someone... If I had those kind of feelings, I'd do one of two things. I'd either commit suicide or I'd go into treatment. And that's what that documentary talks about. And this guy who says, I want help, I don't want to do anything. So for somebody like him, but that documentary showed me that people have a choice. And for him to just go out there and try and do whatever, it's just despicable, isn't it?
There's a bit of nobility in recognizing your own faults and taking active steps to address them. And that's just, Dustin is too weak of a person to ever consider doing that.
Yeah, it's similar to Lorne, isn't it?
Very quick. I've watched the entire, very quick to pass the buck and well, she led me on a little bit too. I've been going through a hard time. People look down upon me. I had run-ins with this before. I learned my lesson. I mean, he overtly admits to doing everything that John wants him to do, but he didn't realize it. He was sort of coerced into doing it, but. No, I mean, if it was up to him, he wouldn't say, all right, lock me up. Clearly, I have something wrong with me, and I need help. No, he's like a weasel, He's just trying to weasel out of every ounce of responsibility.
Yeah,
it's what separates us from the animals.
Yeah, and when I said about him being a monster, I think his condition, his disability, has made him a worse person, because
it's his get out of jail free card.
Yeah, it is, and it's I've had people occasionally comment in the Mcphetridge interview. Before my old channel got deleted, it had like 100,000 views, and every so often someone would say, I've got this condition, and it makes me sick that someone would try and use it as an excuse, because it dishonours everybody else who has a limitation in their life. And he just throws it around and goes like, oh, well, people look down on me, it's difficult to make friends. I'm like, it sickens me.
Right,
as I'm sure it does more to people,
Yeah.
But, my friend, we've been going for quite a bit, and I did say that we'd only do half an hour, and I think we've done about 45 minutes, and my computer hasn't broken.
How about that, huh?
We've covered some decent topics as well, and I think we've only done about 3 pages.
Tune in next time when I tag along for part 47. This was
Rocky 5,000.
I'm glad this kind of happened and worked out. I'm glad we got to have an audience with us for this, and I'm glad everything was working on a technical level. Dustin's an interesting guy. We're going to have a lot to say about him for a long time. So thank you so much for reaching out to me and having me on your channel today.
Oh, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. You always give valuable insight, and you rein me in a little bit sometimes when I get a bit too
Andy-ish.
Not forgiving, but kind of naive might be a good word, but which is ironic for somebody with a channel like mine. But I always try and give the benefit of the doubt if there seems to be one. But every now and again, you have to remind me that with some of these people, there's
always room for intelligent conversation, and that's why you and I are here, and Adam isn't. So
exactly, that's why I didn't even want to ask him. Brilliant. I'm glad we got that one in. But yes. I really do thank you for coming on, mate. It's been really good. I'd go on for longer, but it's like 10 to midnight here, and I've got to get up early. So, but all right. Really thank you. And next time, hopefully, I'll have you on again.
Okay, guys. Thanks for tuning in, Andy. Thank you so much. Have a good night, guys.
See you later, everyone.